Well, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started. My name's Nick Martinez. If I haven't met you yet, excited for this week. I'm excited for this month. The position that we're in right now inside of Prove It is like nothing I've experienced. The energy, the community, the unity within the company, the products, the flavors. It's just like this perfect storm of just kind of the right place at the right time. So if you're brand new, we do these huddle calls twice a week. We have a Monday huddle and a Wednesday huddle. The purpose of these is just to bring us together as a team within Prove It, to really just share about things that are working, to share some vision of kind of what's possible, what's happened, where we're going. And at the same time, to provide some great just concepts, action, training, so that we can all take our businesses to the next level. I see a handful of faces that happen to be at our Playbook event. In fact, if you were at the event, I see some of you typing it in. Just type "I was there" in the comments, so I know who was on that was there. And I want to spend the first part of this call just hearing some takeaways from people that were at the event, like what your biggest aha was, or maybe one thing that you're applying now that you've left. And for those of you that maybe weren't able to make it, or maybe you were there, the power in hearing other people's experiences is when we go to an event. If there were 200 plus people at this event, that means there were 200 different events taking place, because everybody has a different perception. Everybody is in a different space when they come, and we all perceive the world and experience the world differently. So it's interesting. You'll have a single event going on, and you'll have 200 different events happening at the same time. And what's amazing is each and every person hears things just slightly differently and gets something different that maybe I didn't hear or didn't notice in that moment. And that's the power of kind of collaboration. That's the power of community. So for those of you that missed it, we just had our first Playbook event in a very long time. And it was in Dallas, Texas at our lab. It's a unique playbook in that we got to experience a tour of the facility where ketones are made. And it was unique in that Jesse Lee was there. We had Brian Underwood that was there and spoke. Blake Mallon was there and spoke. And usually playbooks are just more leader led. We don't get quite that lineup. However, we're going to talk about the next couple of opportunities that we have to get together again, and just to expand that vision and to be part of the energy and the community, beyond just sharing ketones and talking about ketones from your kitchen or from your backyard or your house. So let's see. I see Jamie. I'm going to have you come off mute real quick. Yes, you're waving to me. Go ahead. And I know, how's it going?
Good.
Tell me, when did you get started as a promoter?
About 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago. So
yeah.
How exciting is that? Jamie got started 6 weeks ago, and she was already able to get to the lab and get to an event like this. And it's just a powerful experience. So tell me real quick, or tell everybody on here, just introduce yourself. Name, where you're from, background, and why you started drinking ketones before we get into your experience at the tour.
I'm Jamie. I'm from Humble. I started drinking ketones because my husband was drinking them, because Ashley Riddle had kind of just really quickly in conversation said something about ketones and fat loss, and my husband was like, I need it, I want it, what do I do? So he started I started doing Ashley's hair. She set a box on my station on my hairdresser, and it went like wildfire for me. So the biggest thing that I got, do you want me to say that now, or you want to wait?
Yeah, what was your
my biggest takeaway is something you said, Nick. You said don't overcomplicate it. Make it real easy. Message your friends or reach out, whatever, and say, hey, are you drinking ketones yet? And you also said the thing about, if I send you a video, will you watch it? And who do we know that doesn't need better sleep, better focus, better energy, all of the things? And so That was my biggest thing, that I think sometimes I try to overcomplicate things. And the next thing was Jesse Lee Ward. You got to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. And your words are your world. So what you say is going to happen. You're going to chase your dreams and make it happen. So whether you believe it right now, say out loud what you're going to do, and you're going to chase it and achieve it. So I'm pretty pumped up. It was my first event, and I'm so looking forward to every other event from here on out.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Jamie, and it was a pleasure to meet you for the first time, but definitely the first of
Pleasure
many.
to meet you.
Let's see. I'd love for if you were at Playbook and you have a takeaway or maybe something that you've already put into action that seems to be working really well. Raise your virtual hand, click on the I believe there's a raise virtual hand button, and then that way I know who I can call and see. I got Dawn. Perfect. And then Christina can ask you guys to unmute. Let's go with Dawn. I don't even know how to pronounce your last name. Chowaniec. There we go. What's up, Dawn?
Good. You did really, really good. Chowaniec. Perfect. You nailed it. Nailed it.
Look at that.
So proud of you, Nick. Give yourself a pat on the back. Yay. All right. I'm Dawn, and I am from Janesville, Wisconsin. And this was my first Playbook, but not my first event. And I've been drinking ketones for a little bit over 2.5 years and promoting for that whole time. And my biggest takeaway, there were so many, it was amazing. And I just want to add in, if you've not been to a Playbook or an event, you need to get there, about plugging in. But my biggest takeaway is the consistency. And I've always felt I was consistent, but hearing people like Jessie Lee talk about the consistency she even had from the very beginning, and or even the consistency that you, Nick, have had over your years of doing things. And you might have a span of time that something's not happening, but if you fall away from that consistency, people think you fell off the face of the earth, even if it's for a day or two. So it's that consistency and giving content back. So I plugged right back in today, and I pre-planned my consistency of my shakeup, my live, what I was talking about during this week. I've planned out my days and specifically planned it out to be strategic so that I wasn't just flying by the seat of my pants and doing the lives like I always have, and just blown by the seat of my pants, and being consistent and holding people accountable as well as holding myself accountable, and giving them the strategic plans of keywords to say back, so I can do it. That helps me with the follow-up with them, instead of having them just say, hey, I listened, but I don't know what they really need. Giving them that opportunity to say, basically, they're raising their hand, but they might not actually know they're raising their hand, so that I can keep that power going all the way through, as it planting seeds now to know where I'm going to go for even the next month. There's stuff happening now, but what am I doing for my future just as well? So
Love it. Thank you, Dawn. Thanks for sharing. It's good to see you there. Let's see. The next hand I see is iPhone or Charity. I think that's Charity.
Yes, I need to probably change my name on this one. I got a new phone and I haven't updated all the settings. So I have been drinking
yeah, say your name, where you're from, background, and your biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Charity. I've been drinking ketones since April, signed up as a promoter in July. This was my first private event. I just cannot, if you have not been to an event, you just go, just absolutely go. I had so many takeaways, but most of them were for you, Nick, from you, Nick, and launching the conversations over time. You know, just the more conversations you have, the faster you're going to get launched. That was a real big one. And then just the simple thing of asking for somebody's phone number. I did it on the plane with the guy beside me, and dropped in the video. He kind of got a little weird. So, you know, like texting some stuff. So that I don't, you know, still trying to figure that out. But anyway, that's an exception. But and then the follow up until they die or by, the persistence with a smile. because that's key. I've been in sales forever. So as long, most people quit following up after the second or third no, and you're not going to ever get where you want to be if you don't continue to follow up. And then really bringing value to the people that you're sharing with and talking to. Those were my biggest takeaways.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Charity. It was so nice to meet you for the first time. And this will be the first of many. Look at that. Just signed up in July and was already at a Playbook event. How cool is that? Let's see. Let's go to Maddie McCoy. What's up? Hello. There we go. I think you should be able to
there,
come.
now I can unmute.
Whose dog are you holding?
I'm holding Josh and Dre Rapkin's dog named Keto.
That's what I thought.
Keto's living with us for, I don't know, like a week and a half while they're in Mexico. So
Okay.
I told Dre I was going to hold him for the huddle so that she could see him while she's watching with us too. So hi, if I haven't met you before, my name's Maddie. My husband Brendan and I have been sharing ketones for a little over 3 years, and we live in Ripon, Wisconsin. My biggest takeaway was definitely the launch versus onboard conversation that Nick kind of kicked the event off with when he gave us that really good equation about launch equals conversations over time, which I know you just shared a moment ago. And I started implementing it already yesterday. So we have a new girl on our team who, it was my first phone call with her. So instead of going down the route of like, okay, do you have this app on your phone? Here's our team chat. I just said, who are the top 2 people that you think would want to do this with you? If you ask them, would they be willing to learn more? And she said, oh yeah, I already asked my best friend and my mom. And so I'm like, okay, when do you think that we could talk with them? And she's like, well, tomorrow should work great. So I'm talking with both of them today. So it's just simplifying it and getting the person into action right away so that the part that they're the most scared of, which is actually having conversations, if we can get them over that hump, they'll start taking more action knowing that it actually works and that we have their back. So thanks for breaking that down in such great detail, because we're already putting it into play.
I love it. I love it. So powerful. We'll go through that equation and talk about launching here at the end of the call. I'm glad that you brought that up, Maddie.
It was my favorite, and I'm not a math person, so we all can get it.
Hey, perfect. All right, let's keep going here. Jana Peters, I see you. Let's see, I'll make her co-host real quick. Come off mute and share with us your biggest takeaway.
Hi, I'm Jana from Artisan. I would say I have so many takeaways that like this event, it was just simply amazing. Like it was really cool to see all of the top leaders almost there, and to see Brian. But I would say my biggest takeaway for myself would be is like hearing like Brian saying like believe in yourself, because we're gonna go far, but you have to believe in yourself. And then also, I think it was like Dustin or like Blake, I can't remember exactly who, but they're like, oh, I can go to your neighbor, I can come to your town, go to your neighbors and like get them to be customers, or go to your grocery store, you know? And it's like, why am I waiting? Like, don't make it awkward. Like Nick, you've said, keep it simple and just ask the question. And I have already put that into play. I'm signing up a promoter today. I sat next to the guy on the airplane. We were running late for our flight, so I was gonna eat my cheeseburger on the flight, but I talked to this guy the entire time. He kept asking me questions. Like I wasn't scared to ask him. I didn't make it awkward, which usually I probably would. And so he is interested in ketones. He wants to like order. And then like I was talking to the Uber guy too. And it was really cool because being at Texas, the Playbook, you could see everybody be a team and like everybody has your back. So I think that's really cool. Another takeaway real quick is being direct with customers and also like your promoters. Like in the hot tub when we were at the spa, I was kind of just like, oh, I like to stay home and oh, stay with my son. And Dustin and Nick, you were like, no, what do you want? Like, you don't sound like you want that. And I'm like, no, you're right. I really, really do want that. So like, it really brought fire to me of you guys being direct and go for it. Like, it's there. Like, I can do it. So like, thank you to all of you guys, because it really was lit fire. I don't know. Like, and I think that energy just.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Jana. And you bring up a good point. I think I wrote it earlier in the chat because I think it was Charity said it, your words become your world. Your words are your world. So when you're talking about what you want out of this, or where you want to go with this, or why you want to do this, that is a very important and specific thing. And in fact, it's one of the like foundational network marketing trainings that we don't do a lot with inside of Prove It, which is like, what's your why? What are you doing here? Are you just here on this Zoom today because you want to hang out and talk to some people? Or do you have goals? Do you have desires? Do you have dreams? And we're often taught to turn those off and to not believe that they're possible. And here our goal is to get you to reignite those, to believe in them again. And the only way that those will actually come to fruition or actually start to happen is if you start to see them, you start to realize they are possible, and then you put a ton of emotion and excitement behind them. So what Jana is referencing, if you don't mind, I share this, Jana, and we were in the hot tub and she said, I asked her, what do you want out of the business? Like, why are you doing this? She said, well, I mean, it would be nice if I came home. I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. What does that mean? She's like, well, if I made a little bit extra a month, I wouldn't have to go to work. I could stay home. But Dustin picked it up on her face. She's just kind of stone faced, not excited about it. Just kind of like, oh yeah, home. And there's two pieces to this, right? One is the vision that you're creating, the direction that you're going, the like, what is it that you want? Two is the emotion that you put behind it. Right? An intention with an elevated emotion equals stuff starts to show up in your life. Things start to change. An intention with the same emotion, the same level of intensity, the same level of whatever that you're bringing the rest of your life equals nothing changes in your life. Right? So if we want to create change, if we want to create impact, if we want to start to create this ripple around us that just starts to shift our world, we have to combine the intention with the emotion. So that's kind of why we're giving you a little bit of a hard time in the hot tub. We're like, well, what does that actually feel like? Do you actually want that? Is that going to be exciting for you? And you're like, oh yeah, it'd be amazing. Yeah. So my encouragement to you still is, number one, get clear as to what that looks like. How does that happen? What does that equal? Right. And for those of you watching here, it's like, what do you want out of this business? Why are you showing up on this Zoom today? And if you get to achieve what you want, like, what does that actually equal to you? What's the excitement? How does that drive you? Like, if it's staying home from your job, like, what does that mean? What does that feel like? And approach this business with the excitement as if that already occurred. I shared a story at Playbook around in 2012, getting to play golf with a top income earner in a company where he had already achieved the level of like just freedom, meaning he didn't have a job. He didn't have a schedule. He got to make his own schedule. He got to call his own shots. And I remember it like it was yesterday, where I asked him when he was going home, and he said, I have not booked my return ticket. And we were in Hawaii. He's like, I've not booked my flight yet. I might go back in a week, couple days, or maybe, I don't know, 10 days. I'm just not sure yet. And for me, that was the level of freedom. For the next 5 years, I was creating that freedom in my life because I knew what it would feel like and the experience that would be when it happened. And that was the energy I drove my business with. So thanks so much for sharing that, Jana, and for being open with us at the spa.
Thanks.
Guys, sometimes the events, the best part of the events are before, after, and during, right? Sometimes you'll get more out of just interactions that you have. For those of you that missed it, a bunch of us went to the King Spa on Saturday for a few hours, and it's a Korean spa there that was super fun. So let's see, let's keep going through a couple. Are these good? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, like my first goal was to make my car payment, to have enough money for that. And I've been doing that for like the past 2 months, like 3, 4 months. And I kind of just like met that goal. And I'm a person that doesn't really want much things, but like would prove it. You guys have brought that out of me. And so like, I just want to tell everybody, like, don't be afraid to go for what's next, because here I sat 2 months now, not going for what I truly want because I didn't think it was like, could be real, really. So like, don't hesitate, just go for it. Don't waste
Love it.
time.
I love it. That's awesome. Thank you, Jana. Amber, I see your hand up. Maybe. There we go. Oh, you did it. Hit it again just once. You unmuted and remuted. Not quite yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, my name's Amber. I live out in Oregon. I've been drinking ketones and sharing them now for almost 3 years. I had an amazing experience this last weekend in Dallas for the Playbook and lab tour. The thing I came away with was just building my belief and conviction. And I think Brian said something about your business is where your belief is. So where your business is right now is a direct reflection of your belief. And we know that there's 3 different places that we need to believe, or things that we need to believe in. One is the product, which I am 100% belief in the product, the company, 100% belief in the company. And then the third one is myself. And that's been the ongoing thing that I am trying to work on. But I want to, and I've already implemented some of these things, I want to lead with confidence and conviction, because another thing that was said, and I think it may have been Brian or Nick, that people want to follow people who are confident, people who are certain. And so I want to raise my recruiting game and really express that confidence and conviction for other people to hear. I want to make more statements in my team chats and to the people that I'm talking to, like, I'm more excited than ever, or like, I'm so excited to do this, or this business is amazing. I need to start making those type of statements more often, because I feel them. I feel those things, but I don't often verbalize them. One of the things I did, interestingly enough, that Nick just mentioned it with Jana, is I wrote down 5 reasons why I want to recruit. And really got down to a list of things, like direct reasons I want to recruit. I want to move to a different state. I want to buy a big house where my family can come gather and we can all eat dinner together. Another thing I did was I made like a little screensaver this morning that has like recruiting roundtable on it. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so when I do recruit somebody with a max or mega, they'll fill out the 1, 2. And so that's my goal, is recruiting roundtable this month. Anyways, I have a whole list of takeaways and things that I'm going to do, but it all goes back to building that confidence and conviction, not only in myself, but also verbalizing for other people to hear. So that's what I want to share. Love it.
Powerful. Thank you, Amber. Thanks for all the behind the scenes work that you supported with. Appreciate you. Let's see. Let's go to Samantha Anne from St. Louis, STL. What's up?
Hey guys, what's going on? Like you said, I am Samantha Anne. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I have been drinking and sharing ketones 8 years. And you guys, going to events, like, you're hearing the same thing, but it's hitting me so different every single time. Like, again, you guys who can agree this was the best event ever, right? It really is. But my takeaway was from Justin. He said, grow where you are planted, with the people you already know and love. And he kind of broke it down to like, create community in your local environment, fun, mastermind, education. You guys, I go on hikes all the time. I'm going with my dog. Why am I not inviting my friends to go with me? Do we have to have a ketone conversation? No. But will it might lead there? Absolutely. Take one up in front of them. They're going to ask you what it is. Going to F45, like there's just some things like Zumba, Top Golf, a paint and sip, a barbecue, cooking classes, flavor tastings, like just different things that I am already doing that I could be inviting more people to. And after 8 years, you kind of just get like, oh, I've already done that. Oh, I've already done this. But it's new. It's new and it's exciting. And one of the really big takeaways was the alignment of just hearing everybody say, you know, you're like, I wasn't this Nick 5-6 years ago. You know, it's your growth curve, and it's where you position yourself. When you asked us to share, I was like, oh, I don't want to share. But I was like, no, I am a new person. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to be more vocal. I did my live this morning. I made my stories. I had my posts done, and here I am sharing on this call. So implementing, just going and being around the alignment of the leadership really just puts that belief, like Amber said, back into yourself. So I'm gonna, create that hike and invite some friends and, just kick it off and do what I'm already doing, that I'm already loving around the people I already know, and just boost it up a little bit more.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Samantha. All right, let's do one more. And then I've got a couple just awesome things to share with you guys. But let's go to Lynne Knowles. What's up, Lynne?
Hello, how are you? Had a lot
Good,
of fun
good.
the other day. Thanks for kind of painting that picture so we could go and really experience something I'd never experienced before. Now I'm like zooming all over looking, or not zooming, like looking all over around me to see if there's something like it. And I haven't found it yet, but I'm gonna find it. Thanks, Nick. Hey everyone, I'm Lynne Knowles. I live in Florida. I live in the Tampa Bay area. I've been drinking and sharing ketones for 5 years. A lot of takeaways, but really what I've already started to implement, and it worked yesterday, I had brought on 2 new customers with it, was going back to keeping it, like Nick said, just so stupid simple that anybody can do it. One of the things that I realized when, like a couple months ago, I've been starting to figure out, like, how can I help people become more successful? How can I help customers become more successful? And what I thought I was doing was so stupid simple, but maybe they didn't. So I've just sort of reevaluating things just based on some of the things I learned and heard, but mostly it's about not overcomplicating it to make it look like they cannot duplicate it. So customers can duplicate what we do. We can taproot customers. And I just started thinking in that terms of, let's just start back at the basics, which I thought I was doing, kind of was, but maybe I was overcomplicating it a lot. One thing though, I also want to say is, Nick, you said, I think it was you that said this on stage, and it made me realize I don't share this with enough of my promoters, is that if I'm wearing this shirt and someone says, what the heck's a PTK? That person had the, oh, you know what I'm going to say. They had the, to actually ask me what it is. Well, then that means they're open. That's the person I want to dive into for sure. When I have to ask the question, yes, their response, I'll be able to read them a little bit. But if someone has that it factor, let's call it, to ask me what it is, that's certainly someone that's open, and I really need to take a good look at them and maybe give them just a little bit more. I don't mean vomit on them, but just a little bit more, ask a few more questions that might reveal what they're really looking for. So those are some of my great takeaways. I had a whole bunch, but it was amazing being there and being around the energy and tasting all those new flavors. If you weren't there, oh, you missed out.
Love it. Love it. Well, Lynne, you're hosting the guest call this week, right? You know about that yet? Yes. Perfect.
I am. You go ahead and lead into that, but yes, I am. I'm excited about that.
So we have a guest call every Wednesday night, and Lynne has volunteered to support with this one. And the theme, do you want to share what the theme is, Lynne?
Sure. I'm proud of it. Over 50. So we call them the second halfers, or, people in that second part of life. So we're going to be talking a lot about how, not just, it's a customer call. So how ketones can help us as we're aging, but also how this business can change the trajectory of our lives, and that we have so much more to give. That's
awesome. Does anybody know anybody over the age of 50? If you do, that would be a great person to invite. And if you're over the age of 50, make sure you show up with friends. You don't have...
Dick, we're not going to check IDs at the door, man. Anybody can come.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. No, you can use the whole purpose of these focused guest calls is to create a reason to invite. right? To create an excuse to reach out, and also to create pockets of like space in your brain. When we say, who are the teachers that you know? Now you're thinking of specific things. Who are the nurses or health people that you know? This creates that group. Hey, who do you know that's aging, that wants to age well or wants to reverse age, right? Who do you know that's complaining about whatever the ailments or whatever challenges they have as they age? Or who do you know that's nearing retirement, that's been talking about how they can't retire, right? So as you start to go through that list of people, when you invite them, it's Wednesday night, so it's coming up quick. It's, hey, what are you up to on Wednesday night? They say, I don't know. Why? Oh my gosh, we have this amazing call where we're going to talk about how ketones are helping with, or how this business is helping people in the second half of their life be able to retire faster, or you fill in the blank, just 1 or 2 descriptions of how this call is going to kind of hit them. Then you invite them, right? We teach our team to do the same thing. So thank you all for sharing your takeaways, guys. These events, we don't just put them on because it's fun to put on an event. We put them on because they are valuable, imperative, powerful. The one thing, if I look at successful people inside of Prove It, at people that have kind of maybe hit that $10,000 a month or more level, the one thing they have in common is they've been to events over and over and over again. They've not just come to 1 playbook, but they've come to 3 playbooks. They've not just come to 1 epic, but every year since they've gotten started, it's like, I'm at epic. So we have 2 coming up. I will be getting ticket links out so that you can grab your ticket. The first is on the 16th of September. That is a Saturday, and it is in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be amazing. The second is on the 23rd, and that is also a Saturday, and it is in Seattle, or just south of Seattle. So those are the 2 coming up. The early bird ticket prices are like $37. Cost shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully you're in a region where you can get to one of those locations fairly inexpensively, whether you're driving or hopping on a quick flight. And come knowing that you're going to get tons of value, not just from the information that's shared at the event, but more importantly, from being around the community and the stories and the people that you'll hear and see. So those will be out. The hotels specifically for them will be probably out in the next 4 or 5 days. So don't book a hotel yet, but book your flights, grab your tickets so that we know you're coming, and promote to your teams. And then after that, we have Cancun. I know there's a lot of you that are qualified for Cancun. If you're already qualified, type qualified in the chat. If you're running for it still, type running. We still have the rest of this month for people to hit that MVP or MVP multiplier. Look at all of you qualified and running. I love it, love it, love it, love it. That is going to be an absolutely just fun and impactful event in so many different ways than some of our other events. So it'd be amazing. The story I told about 2012 was an event just like that and forever changed me. Probably wouldn't be here today if it weren't for that experience. So that's how powerful these are. Then we have Epic. Epic is in December. It's December 8th through the 10th. If you're coming to Epic, type Epic. We have a lot of people coming to Epic. It's going to be incredible. And we still have some space. So whoever you're working with, whoever your champ or pro champ is, say, hey, do you have any tickets for Epic? Because I know a lot of people got some bundles, and there's probably a few tickets still floating around if you need one. Oh, I see Todd's going, Mary, Debbie, Jamie. Oh, the list just keeps going. What's up, Chris? How do we room block for Epic? Check your pulse. I think there was a check with your team leader, whoever you're working with. There should have been a pulse message sent out about Epic room blocks. All right. I want to end the call with this, and I believe this is everything. This is like, we talked a lot today at the beginning of our playbook event around the difference between launching somebody and the difference between onboarding. And this conversation, I believe, is probably the most valuable because it doesn't matter where you're at in this business. You want to create launch energy in order to get yourself to the next level. So if you're currently a rank 2 and you want to go to rank 3 or 4 or 5, guess what you have to do? You have to launch from rank 2 to get up there. You have to create energy. You have to create activity. You have to create momentum. If you're currently at rank 6 and you're like, man, I want to get to rank 7. I've been at 6 for a year or 2 years or 3 years or wherever it's been. How do you go from rank 6 to rank 7? If you're brand new and you're like, hey, I just want to get a car payment, or I want to be able to put an extra $1,000 a month in my bank account. What do you have to do? You have to create energy to go from having not had any conversations and no business to having a lot of people drinking ketones and starting to get paid as a result. So what does that equal? Well, I want to write down the word launch, and you can just write it on your piece of paper. Oops, launch is not spelled with a K, it's spelled with an H. There we go. So I have launch written down right now. It's probably backwards to you. Actually, it's not backwards, is it? Zoom kind of flips it around. That's really cool. Go Zoom. So launch equals, notice there's an equals, and I'm going to write this on here. I'm going to write conversations divided by time. And then I'm going to write a times, like a little X below that. So conversations divided by time times energy. This is the part we were just talking about with Janice. So launch equals conversations divided by time times energy. Well, the number of conversations that you have over a shorter period of time equals a faster launch, right? If you're just on this Zoom and you do nothing today to start conversations about ketones, you're not having a lot of conversations. So in simple math, the bigger the top number is over the time number equals a bigger number. So if we have a shorter period of time and more conversations over that period of time, what does that equal? It equals a bigger number. We want our launch number to be as big as possible. So let's do the math. If we had 5 conversations over the next 5 days, what's 5 over 5? That equals what? Type it in the chat. Whereas if we have 20 conversations over the next 5 days, what does that equal? 20 divided by 5. Type it in, type it in. Equals what? 4. What's bigger, 1 or 4? Well, you want your launch to be larger, so we got to have more conversations over a shorter period of time. How do you amplify that even more? You could have 20 conversations in 2 days. Do you guys understand what I'm putting down here? So now I want you to think about this with the energy added, right? If your energy is blah, if you're just not inspired, if you're not excited about where you're going, if you're not looking at the future and just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to pick out my prove it ride, or I can't wait until the day I get to walk in and fire my boss, right? If you're not bringing that energy to it, then you're not amplifying it. You're not giving it any extra juice, right? So if we take those conversations over time, multiply it by energy, we get our launch number. So if you want to have a big launch, if you're like, Nick, I need this to work. Nick, I want this to grow. Well, you don't want or need. What you do is take the action. What's the action? The conversations in a short period of time multiplied by the great energy equals your launch. So leaving this Zoom, we have between now and the end of the month to hit whatever your goal is. Maybe you're trying to hit multiplier before the 15th with that one promoter. We got 2 days for that. We got today and tomorrow. It's still possible. If you go enroll a mega pack, anybody on here can enroll a mega pack today or tomorrow and hit that, because you need 2,000 in points, and that's 1,000. Well, if you miss it and you want to hit it before the end of the month, guess what you're going to need to do? You're going to need to take a bunch of conversations over 14 days. You got to decide what that number is. Is it going to be 14 conversations in 14 days? That's a 1 number. Or maybe it's going to be 28, or maybe it's going to be 50 conversations over the next 14 days. That's a higher number. That'd be a great way to launch. You're creating energy in this business. How are you going to do that? Well, maybe you're going to go out and go to some networking events. Maybe you're going to go start prospecting people on social media. Maybe you're going to go join another gym. Maybe you fill in the blank. I can't tell you how you're going to do it. You have to decide that. That's your job as a marketer. Ask the person that you're working with for some ideas if you need them. But the question is, are you going to do that? Are you going to start tracking those conversations to create growth in your business? And I want you to see how this really looks from an amplification standpoint, because this is where it gets really cool. Let's say that you just have 1 conversation a day. That's 30 conversations a month. And again, that's baseline. That's a 1 for your launch, which is okay, but that's times you. That's times you. So how many conversations is that in a month? 30 times 1 is what? 30. Well, what if you have 5 promoters that you teach to do the same thing? This is where it gets really fun. And each of them are having 30 conversations. 30 times 5 is what? 150. That's a lot of conversations. You think if 150 people learned about ketones this month and had meaningful conversations, you'd have some new customers and promoters join your team. What if that 5 number, let's just call it 20, and everybody was having 30 conversations? Well, what's 30 times 20? That's 600. This is where it gets pretty insane. If we can get people, right, that you're working with to start having this conversation. This is why the recruiting roundtable has been put in place. Why? Because if we have 5 new people that are each having 30 conversations, that's an extra 150 a month, right? If it starts to replicate a little bit, next thing you know, there's like literally thousands of new conversations happening every single month about ketones in our community. That's how we launch versus just interested. So when you're talking to a new promoter, my challenge to you is don't just give them information, get them on calls, get them apps downloaded and groups added, get them into action, having conversations, because that's what's going to grow their business and that's what's going to further the conversation. So thank you, everyone who shared their takeaways. Appreciate all of you. Stay tuned for the links and the information on the upcoming playbooks. My encouragement is to get to the one that's nearest you or the date that works for you. And I'm excited to see you all in person. I will be at both. If you want to come to both, you're definitely welcome to, not expected. But stay tuned. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an amazing week. Lynn, thanks for hosting that guest call on Wednesday night. Guys, it will be amazing. Let's drive our conversations to that as the validation. And we'll see y'all soon. Fiona, I will see you on Ireland. Shoot me a message, Fiona. All right. Bye, guys. We'll talk to you soon.